Hello everyone. Welcome to Stitches and Side Roads. I'm Jean. I haven't posted anything in a couple of weeks, but I've been on vacation, but that's a story for another day. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this cushion. So I made this to go with a chair that I have recently recovered. I mean, it's not a hard project. I finished it in a couple of hours, but there's a few things. One is making the piping, attaching it, and then I inserted a zipper here, lap zipper at the back, down a little bit away from the seam so it would open and close quite nicely, hides the zipper quite nicely, and it's a very nice, neat finish. So I hope you stay with me and we'll see what happens. Luckily, I have a cushion that's the right shape and size. The inside of it is an intact insert that I can take out, take the measurements of the length and the width, and then use those measurements to fashion a paper pattern that I can use to then cut out from the fabric that I want the cushion cover made out of. Here are the pattern pieces. I added 2 centimeters seam allowance all around. Initially, I cut two pieces, one for the front and one for the back. And then to make the seam for where the zipper is going to be on the back piece, I cut about 3 inches down from the top, added a 1 inch seam allowance to each of the cut edges, rounded the corners of each piece, and then put them together, made sure that they were fitting properly. And this was my pattern. So the next task is to cut some bias strips from the fabric to cover the cording to make the piping. I just have a piece of fabric. I've turned it right side down. I'm going to find the bias of the fabric by placing the straight edge of this ruler along the selvage and then drawing a line with a pen or a marker of some sort or a pencil, and this identifies the bias of the fabric. It's a little bit stretchier, making it a little bit easier to wrap around the cording, but also to attach to the front of the pillow cover when we're ready. So it would be a good idea to measure the circumference of one of the pieces just to determine what that length is, and then cut the strips of bias. Here I'm using a ruler that's 2 inches wide, cutting the bias strips 2 inches wide, which is wide enough to go around the piping, but then also leaving a seam allowance adequate to attach to the front of the cushion cover. Check the ends of each piece that you have to make sure that they are cut on the diagonal, as you see here, and this makes it possible to join them together into one long strip. If your strips are aligned like here, they're in the correct position to sew together. You have to align the strips at right angles to each other and sew a narrow seam to end up with a straight strip. Sew each end seam as shown here. Also, use a zipper foot to get close to the cording. Once you have all of your bias strips connected and you have one long fabric piece of bias length, you can get your cording and wrap the fabric around it, and then using your zipper foot, sew as close as you can to the cording all the way along until you've completed it and the cording is completely encased with the fabric. So the piping is finished. Now you can attach it to the front of the cushion. Here I'm showing you how I attach the piping using just a sample and a short piece of the cording. When you come to the curves or each corner, you can clip the piping so that it fits smoothly around the corners of the cushions. When you get to the end, to join the two ends of the piping together, take some time and open up one end to expose the piping. Take it back as far as you need to so that you can butt up the two ends of the cording together. And then as you're watching this, you'll see I cut them and cut the cording, that is, and then cut off the excess bit of fabric, fold one side of the fabric back, and then join them together. That is a nice clean finish. Now check your work and check the corners, clip the piping at the corners if you haven't already done so. Just make sure everything is lying nice and flat. Next, I joined the two back pieces together, creating a seam, and then inserted the zipper. There are many tutorials on how to prepare and insert a lap zipper, so I won't go over it in detail here. Now you can remove the basting stitches and do up the zipper, cut off any excess tail of the zipper, sew across it to secure it, and you have your zipper in place. Now sew the front and back pieces together and turn it out. And here is the finished project. Let me know what you think. I think it turned out great.